The first death because of Omicron in the United Kingdom. Is that enough reason to panic? Professor Sanjeev Krishna, molecular parasitology and medicine, St. George's University, joins me from London. Appreciate your joining us, Professor Krishna. Is there a sense that the United Kingdom is panicking too early? The UK Prime Minister saying there's going to be a tidal wave of Omicron cases?
Thank you for having me, Rajdeep, and good evening to everyone. I think it's not so much a sense of panic as a sense of appreciating what we know so far about Omicron, and then being very alert to what we need to know. So what do we know? What we know is that it is clearly far, far more transmissible than the other variants we've seen before, including Delta. So this virus is itself a super spreader, if you want to put it that way. What do we not know? What we do not know really is, in the three different populations that we already have, both in the UK, in India, and in the rest of the world, how this virus is going to behave in terms of severe disease and deaths. So what are the three populations? Of course, you have the unvaccinated, for whatever reason. And within this, you may have vulnerable groups like pregnant women, children, say, over the age of 5, and so on. Then you have those that have been infected, and those who may then have received a vaccine. And then finally, you've got the third group who are vaccinated. And in that group, what we know is that 2 doses, even of the mRNA vaccine, which does produce better responses than, for example, AstraZeneca, even within that group, it is the infections which are increased with Omicron compared with Delta.
But if I may intervene, Professor Krishna, hospitalizations as of now have not increased. So there's no sign that Omicron will lead to hospitalization, and there is some reason to believe that a booster dose, if given now, will actually ensure a certain level of immunity. So, is it reason enough to believe that Omicron could be like Delta, spark of another wave?
Well, these are very important questions. Hospitalizations are increasing in the areas where they were first described, but we have to bear in mind, this is such early days. It was only the 23rd of November that the sequence was identified. And where are we now? And it takes weeks before people become sick enough to need to be hospitalized and then perhaps go on to ITU and then suffer bad outcomes unless they have other complications as well. So we have to just be very careful. I think what we're seeing, is a different way of looking at the virus as well, because the world is now alert and everyone is very ready to try and respond appropriately, because people have been caught out before. The UK was very slow to respond in the first and second waves of infection. And, we have to be alert to this. But throughout this, while we're having debates about vaccines, it's not only about vaccines. It's also about testing. It's also about taking simple preventative measures. Don't go into big groups. Test regularly and then do all the other COVID secure precautions that your listeners will know very well by now.
Okay, let's leave.